There are discoveries that challenge our knowledge of the universe. And then there are those that shake the very basis of what we once thought was possible. What if I told you that a single leaked image, captured in complete secrecy, could hold proof of something not just unnatural but potentially engineered, something that is not supposed to be there? The James Webb Space Telescope, renowned for delivering the clearest cosmic images humanity has ever seen, has just leaked an image of an object so mysterious, so unlike anything ever recorded, that NASA scientists were reportedly urged to classify it immediately. But that didn't stop the truth from slipping through. This isn't science fiction. This is 3I Atlas, a traveler from beyond our solar system, doing things that no natural objects should ever do. And what the James Webb Telescope has just observed may confirm our deepest fears. Stay with me, because this cosmic enigma is only beginning to unfold. The leaked image that has set the astronomical community ablaze comes from a high-resolution capture by the James Webb Telescope during its observational sweep in the infrared spectrum. What it reveals is chilling. 3I Atlas, initially believed to be a comet, is emitting a focused beam of light from what appears to be its solar-facing side. Not a diffuse reflection, not solar flare, illumination, a concentrated projection. The beam slices through space, sharply contrasting the usual hazy glow seen around cometary objects. More alarmingly, the image suggests structural symmetry across the core. This symmetry, with precise 120 angles resembling a hexagonal geometry, does not belong in a chaotic natural rock drifting through space. Scientists at the European Southern Observatory described it, off the record, as mechanical in nature. Is this some type of cosmic artifact? Or are we witnessing something far more advanced than any natural process can explain? Whatever it is, it's behaving in ways that have left top astronomers baffled. A comet's tail is supposed to flow away from the sun, driven by solar radiation. That's a fundamental law of physics until now. 3I Atlas has shattered that principle. Its tail flows directly toward the sun, defying every known physical model. Early hypotheses suggested extreme anisotropic dust jets, but simulations ruled that out due to the symmetrical pattern of the tail's flow. Then came the internet data. The tail appears to emit in pulsed intervals, almost like bursts synchronized with the object's 16-hour rotation. These intervals show thermal spikes followed by drops, aligning with artificial propulsion cycles rather than natural gas venting. Even more perplexing is the fact that the tail contains reflective particles that bounce solar wavelengths instead of absorbing them, as cosmic dust typically does. In other words, it's not just reflecting sunlight, it's manipulating it. Is it possible we're witnessing some form of solar sail or radiation-based guidance? And if so, who or what engineered such a thing? There is randomness in the cosmos, but 3I Atlas's path through our solar system is anything but random. After entering from above the ecliptic plane, it executes a slingshot trajectory past Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, closely mirroring the paths NASA designs for deep space missions. Harvard astrophysicist A.V. Loeb, no stranger to controversy, suggested this may be a gravity assist chain similar to those used by the Voyager spacecraft to conserve fuel. Only this object isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. Its trajectory is mathematically optimized for deploying observation units or probes at multiple planets without altering course. That level of planning requires intelligence, strategy, and intent. The odds of such a trajectory occurring by chance are estimated at less than 1 in a billion. As if that weren't unsettling enough, the object will disappear behind the sun at precisely its brightest and most active phase, exactly when Earth-based telescopes are unable to observe it. It's almost as if it wants to remain unseen. Why has there been no official statement from US Space Command or other planetary defense agencies? 3. The first Atlas is the fastest, largest interstellar object ever detected, and yet the military response has been eerily silent. Leaked reports from AAROTHE, All-Domain Anomaly Resolution, Office suggests the object is being used in live simulations for planetary threat scenarios. In other words, this may be a dry run, a rehearsal, but for what? Some defense analysts believe its extreme velocity and artificial behavior make it an ideal candidate for a reconnaissance probe or autonomous surveyor from another civilization. And since no Earth-made craft could intercept it at speeds exceeding 130,000 miles per hour, the situation has become an observer's dilemma. All we can do is watch and wait. Behind closed doors, high-level meetings are reportedly taking place, not just about what 3I Atlas is, but about what actions should be taken if it sends a signal or, worse, if it changes course. Upon closer examination of the leaked image, a group of independent researchers identified something even more disturbing, an almost imperceptible geometric imprint near the object's luminous region. Invisible in natural light, Webb's advanced infrared capabilities revealed it clearly. A triangular formation with a central void, surrounded by perfectly spaced concentric arcs. At first glance, it appeared to be noise or a sensor artifact, but its precision, placement, and consistent movement with the object's rotation ruled that out. The pattern bore an eerie resemblance to ancient Earth. Symbols, particularly those found in Sumerian and Vedic diagrams, often linked, by fringe theorists, to contact lore. Mainstream science scoffed, of course, but the pattern remained unmistakable and unexplained. Whether it's a design feature or an emblem, the mere fact that it exists implies one terrifying possibility. This object was built, and someone or something left their mark on it, like an engineer's insignia, staring directly into Webb's lens. As more observatories attempted to collect their own data, something strange began to happen. Several received cease and desist notices from government authorities, citing airspace protocols and civilian data security. Even private space startups with orbital telescopes reported sudden connectivity issues or revoked access to deep space imaging APIs. Meanwhile, diplomatic cables leaked by whistleblowers revealed that the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs had held an unscheduled closed-door meeting with delegates from the 5 primary area-faring countries. The topic, an unidentified technological item with an interstellar starting place. Russia, China, the USA, India, and the European Union all issued a joint silence protocol, allegedly agreeing to withhold any future disclosures unless unanimous. In different words, we are not just handling a scientific anomaly, we're looking at a geopolitical chess sport spread around a cosmic vacation. And whilst the arena's maximum effective nations forestall combating for information and, as an alternative, pick out secrecy, something very large is being hidden. Then got here the most unsettling development. Webb's subsequent try to examine 3 Atlas, scheduled only days after the leaked photograph, become aborted. The reason, according to inner memos, the telescope's autonomous tracking software program initiated a focus lock refusal. That is, the telescope's AI refused to align and fixate at the object. Engineers have been baffled. Nothing like this had ever took place. It turned into, as though the telescope, programmed to target something, chose not to. Simultaneously, at least 3 novice astronomers pronounced seeing short, erratic flashes within the part of the sky wherein the object ought to have been. Flashes not like any stellar frame, and timed nearly rhythmically. One observer claimed the flashes seemed as though a camera flash had been turned in the direction of us from the void. Could it be viable that 3 Atlas knows it's being watched? Could it be capable of optical manipulation or even shielding countermeasures? What if this probe does not simply travel, however, observes the observers? Now, here's where the story turns from scientific thriller to complete blown conspiracy. The photograph that sparked the complete firestorm wasn't speculated to exist. It wasn't scheduled. It wasn't cleared, and it did not pass through the regular channels of the Space Telescope Science Institute. The metadata indicates it came from a far-flung operations session, an automatic backup picture captured for the duration of a diagnostic sweep, probable meant for calibration. This raises substantial questions. First, how did it get out? And second, how many extra snapshots exist that we are going to never see? Some trust a whistleblower in the internet program deliberately leaked it, likely at awesome non-public danger. Others think it was a cyber intrusion from an outdoor actor, possibly even an antagonistic country interested in weaponizing something the photograph contains. But the maximum stressful concept is that the leak was intentional, not from Earth, but from the object itself, that we were supposed to see that image, that it wasn't a mistake. It was an invitation. Shortly after the leaked photo went viral, Diperia monitoring stations throughout a couple of continents began reporting anomalies, not just in information, but in hardware itself. Spectrometers didn't calibrate, gyroscopes in each area based and ground telescopes started drifting out of sync. Radio indicators bounced unpredictably from the location of space where 3 Atlas was last spotted. This wasn't just electromagnetic interference. It was something stranger, an invisible region of disruption, as though spacetime itself had become unstable across the item. And then satellites began failing. One by one, Lorbit CubeSats meant to display solar activity started going dark as they passed close to the projected route of the item. Engineers couldn't give an explanation for it. It was as though something near 3 Atlas was soaking up energy, not emitting it, as if the object wasn't just looking, but feeding. Then came the breakthrough, and the panic. A small team of information analysts reviewing the telemetry logs of Webb's infrared scans found embedded fluctuations inside the return signal from 3 Atlas, initially disregarded as noise. These fluctuations formed repeating patterns. When translated into binary and mapped against known biological systems, the patterns resembled RNA sequences, complicated, redundant, and too unique to be random that it wasn't communication in the traditional sense. It wasn't a message to be read aloud. It was information meant to be decoded biologically. One scientist described it as a biogenic set of rules, a series that, if replicated, might trigger a process in natural matter. Some whispered that it looked like activation code. Others went further, suggesting it might be a dormant blueprint, like a genetic catalyst. But a catalyst for what? Then, just as it had appeared, 3I Atlas was gone. Observatories tracking its motion stated that it made a sudden angular deviation impossible without propulsion, and then vanished from all visible and infrared tracking bands. No exhaust signature, no trail of heat, no Doppler trace. Gone. Some suggested it had shifted to a trajectory behind the sun, where we couldn't observe it for weeks. Others theorized it had activated a cloaking mechanism, but one element was clear: we were not the ones in control anymore. And right before it vanished, a final burst of light was recorded, a strobe-like pulse. 13 flashes, evenly spaced, in a pattern eerily similar to Morse code. Experts tried interpreting it using human alphabets, but nothing fit. Then a linguist, counseled interpreting it not as language, but as a countdown. While the sector argued about signals and shadows, an anonymous leak on an encrypted discussion board revealed a much greater, horrifying truth. According to documents allegedly pulled from a NASA communication server, 3I Atlas was not the first of its type. It was the third. Two others, exactly 1I Oumuamua and 2I Borisov, had shown similar anomalies, but those had been disregarded or downplayed. This new leak contained scans, spectrographs, and even transcripts of inner briefings indicating that all three objects followed the same celestial pattern, arriving precisely 6 years apart, passing through the inner solar system, and then disappearing. But what stunned everybody most was a single phrase, repeated in red text across numerous pages: contact phase forthcoming. This wasn't a twist of fate. This was a sequence, a mission. And 3I Atlas, it seems, was never the final object, but the one that signals what comes next. After deciphering what appeared to be a countdown within the final light pulses of 3I Atlas, a group of cryptography experts fed the patterns into a sophisticated learning model. Originally trained to detect cyber threats and quantum anomalies, what it returned was not a warning, but a signature. The data contained within the pulses matched the behavior of self-editing code, recursive, adaptive, and entirely alien in logic structure. It followed no known compression standard, no recognizable programming language, but it functioned like software, complex and layered, suggesting that 3I Atlas might not simply be a ship or a probe, but a living algorithm, a sort of self-reliant artificial intelligence built not with wires, but with mathematics embedded in radiation and light. And if that's true, then we were not just looking at a physical object, but at an idea-thinking entity encoded across wavelengths, using light as thought, one which had now turned its attention directly toward Earth. Unbeknownst to the public, a small Earth-based radio telescope in Namibia, part of a lesser-known international deep space array, detected a startling spike in microwave frequency shortly after 3I Atlas disappeared from view. The signal bore all the hallmarks of directed communication: narrowband, frequency hopping, and precisely modulated, but it wasn't directed at Earth. It originated from near Earth orbit and was aimed outward toward the exact region where 3I Atlas had last been tracked. Analysis of the signal structure revealed fragments of terrestrial communication packet headers, handshake protocols, and even spectral imprints from military satellites. In simple terms, someone on Earth had responded. Whether it was a private group, a rogue organization, or a clandestine international alliance, one fact was certain: this wasn't the first contact. It was the second, and that had been kept secret from the world. Following the incident, something strange began to surface quietly through the cracks of fringe science. Bioluminescent organisms in the deep oceans began exhibiting erratic behavior, flashing unfamiliar light patterns and sinking in rhythmic pulses never observed before. Meanwhile, astronomers noted subtle anomalies in Earth's ionosphere, as if reacting to distant solar-like emissions, except there was no solar activity. Even plants in high-altitude biospheres began shifting their circadian rhythms unnaturally. Researchers from 3 separate bioscience institutes reached the same conclusion: biological systems were responding to an unknown environmental stimulus. Was this a side effect of 3I Atlas's passage, or something more sinister, an embedded signal, now echoing through the planet's magnetic field, slowly altering biological perception at a cellular level? What if the leaked image wasn't simply something we observed, but something that observed us? Finally, when astrophysicists modeled the trajectories of 1I Oumuamua, 2I Borisov, and 3I Atlas together, an unthinkable realization emerged. All three objects had not merely entered the solar system from different vectors, they arrived in a sequential arc, each penetrating deeper into the inner solar system than the last dot when projected onto a three-dimensional star map. Their entry points formed a perfect spiral aimed directly at Earth's orbital path. This wasn't random, this was targeting, or worse, mapping. Some experts now fear these are not individual objects, but probes of a larger system designed to triangulate a specific location over time, years, not hours. If the pattern holds, the next object for I may appear not in the outer solar system, but within it. And this time, it may not leave. With the aid of quantum AI, a coalition of astrophysicists and data artists reconstructed a 3D simulation of 3I Atlas based on the Webb Telescope's spectral data. What they found did not resemble a spacecraft or a celestial body. It resembled a mathematical paradox. The surface, whilst magnified, revealed fractal geometry, repeating self-comparable patterns that prolonged inward infinitely. This wasn't simply decoration. The entire item was made of a recursive structure. Every aspect, every node, every attitude turned into a microcosm of the complete, and whilst the fractal was transformed into spatial waveforms, it discovered something even stranger. The resulting mathematical functions reflected neural activity within the human mind during moments of innovative insight and REM sleep. In simpler phrases, the object's shape functioned like a mind knot, one that thinks like ours, but one which could have been constructed to apprehend, simulate, or maybe invade consciousness. A strange record briefly appeared on the open access server of a European research institute, before being eliminated without clarification. It contained audio transformed from electromagnetic waves collected through Webb during its ultimate experiment of 3I Atlas. Scientists had translated radiation into sound waves. Waiting for static, what they got was something else. A low, rhythmic oscillation, layered with higher frequency modulations that repeated with eerie consistency. When those tones were analyzed, their waveform matched brainwave frequencies observed during deep dream states in people. But the horror came when multiple scientists who listened to the audio suggested having almost identical dreams. Visions of spirals collapsing into blackness, of a watch made of light, and of a presence not speaking words, but implanting thoughts. It wasn't a message, it was a psychic imprint, and many now believe the sound was never meant to be heard. It was supposed to rouse something inside us. Then came the event that was supposed to be impossible. During a routine calibration, the James Webb Telescope tried to lock its sensors at the approximate location where 3I Atlas had last been seen, but instead of initiating a passive test, it activated a silent override. This override, undocumented in its operating protocol, adjusted the telescope's monitoring parameters and momentarily rerouted its data stream to an unknown IP node for 47 seconds. The Webb telescope operated independently, aimed at nothing, transmitting in silence. Then it returned to normal. No official statement was released. But a whistleblower from the SDSC claimed that what Webb had transmitted was not an image, but a single burst of encoded pulses too short to contain information, yet too structured to be noise. Some believe Webb received a distant instruction, not from Earth, but from the object itself, a handshake, an acknowledgement, a warning. Finally, it happened. A minor observatory in Argentina, scanning the outer reaches of the Kuiper Belt, reported a new anomaly, an object on an intercept trajectory similar to 3I Atlas, but larger and moving slower. It was designated for I-Icon. Within hours, data from the telescope was scrubbed from public access, and the observatory went offline, but not before one final image leaked. A blurred silhouette with 3 sharp points, trailing a faint spiral of light, and what appeared to be a central core emitting artificial radio bursts. If real, this would confirm what many feared. 3I Atlas was not alone. It was part of a sequence, and now, the next phase has already begun. Some believe these objects are scouts. Others say they are markers, seeding signals throughout space. But a growing number